welcome to Best Laid Plans. This is your host, Sarah Hart-Unger, and this is the podcast where we talk all things planning and planning adjacent. And today I decided to make a video showing my planner tools that I'm using so far this year. And I finally figured out how to use the overhead camera. So for the most part, you won't be watching me with my planner stuff, but instead you will be seeing the tools themselves. So I'm so excited to have finally figured that out. I do have to say, I purposely am showing up here right now in workout gear with bad hair. And why am I doing that? Because I want to lower the bar for myself when it comes to showing up on video. And if I can just prove to myself that nothing terrible happens if I show up looking not the best, then maybe it will help me to make more videos going forward. Because I feel like I've been telling myself that things have to be in some sort of, I don't know, perfect arrangement. I need to be looking my best. My hair has to be totally done. And that is, I think some video showing up as imperfect is much more my style than trying to do things perfectly. It's definitely been the case with everything else I put out there into the world. So again, you are about to experience my planner items in all their glory so that you'll be able to see them better than I've ever showed them before. And I hope you enjoy that. This episode, of course, can be listened to and you will be able to hear what my planner stack sounds like. I'm going to describe things, but I do think this is one that will be even more fun to listen to with the YouTube, with the video. So have at it. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back next week with more planning fun. I promise all the audio episodes won't be so visual. So if you're like, this episode is, I want to listen, and this one's just a little bit too, you're referring to too many things on the video for me, then I promise I'll be back next week in your feed with kind of my more typical format. But I really do feel like I could do video more often. There's not like a huge reason why I can't, except for me just approaching it with more perfectionism than I typically approach things. So yeah, here I am, bad hair and a bunch of planners, and I hope you enjoy this Techo Kaigi. All right, so here we go. We are recording my very first Techo Kaigi. I am not entirely sure why it has taken me approximately 3 years to figure out how to set up my phone to record overhead, because I Googled it and then did it in 20 minutes. You guys, sometimes we have things in life that we have framed as much harder than they actually are, and that would include figuring out how to do an overhead video. So I suspect this will not be the last planner video that I share with you now that I have taken the 20 minutes to figure things out. All right, well, you got to see me in the intro, but now you get to see my planner stack in all of its glory. I guess I could have gotten a manicure for the occasion. I did not, because I kind of impulsively decided to make this video, but that's okay. Hopefully you will forgive my not terribly exciting nails. They don't look terrible. So we're going to go through my entire planner stack, all the analog tools that I am using currently. We're not going to do the pens. Here's a little pen preview for you, but maybe I'll save that for a future video. So here we go. My very first item is the Midori Hibino that I talked about using for my morning pages. And I did buy this notebook a little bit on a whim, and it has been a total joy for me to use during the year so far. I'm going to get these out of the way, by the way. We don't need the whole stack blocking the screen here. And oh, look, there's a little imperfection on my desk. We'll cover that up with a planner. All right, so this is the mint green Midori Hibino. It's pretty small. It is next to like an, pair of AirPods for size considerations. And I actually started using it in November of last year, and I'm going to go fast enough that hopefully no one will actually read what's on these pages, because you do not even want to know. This is like my morning rant. I basically take the time to, dump out whatever is in my head, and have been faithfully doing this pretty much every single day since last November. And the only issue that I'm going to run into is, when we get to November, I am going to be out of pages, and I'm going to have to decide, do I move to a temporary holder notebook, or do I start my 2027 morning pages journal by doing that early. So we'll see what I end up deciding to do. I did have a little thing in here in the very beginning of the year where I was trying to record a good thing that happened during the day, but I will admit I did fall off of that. I've kept up with a lot of rituals throughout the year, and that just felt a little bit superfluous since I do track, things I'm grateful for in other places throughout the rest of the year. And by the way, I know that for some people, you'd like to see like close-ups of everything I've written here, but I really use these tools and I have not vetted to look for a page that I would be comfortable sharing. So that's why you just get little glimpses. Now I know, I guess someone could like hit pause and now I'm giving you all ideas. Anyway, this is the Midori Hibino. I have really enjoyed taking the ritual to do, daily morning pages as inspired by the work of Julia Cameron in it this year. All right. The next book we have is a Hobonichi, the first of several that we're going to talk about today. And this is the Hobonichi 5-year journal. And this is A5 size. You can see it is larger than the Hibino by, well, it's really double the size because A5 is going to be, exactly double the size of A6. For those of you who don't know how that works, this is kind of demonstrating that math very nicely. And here we go. So this is a 5-year journal, and this is the second one that I have started. I filled up my 5-year journal that went from 2021 to 2025. I really, really enjoyed doing that. I didn't fill every single space in that 5-year journal, but I was pretty consistent. So most pages have at least, 3 entries on them. So this one's fresh. And this I don't really mind sharing. It's a little more, I don't know, like just kind of what happened on a given day. None of it's terribly secret or personal. And one fun thing that I have decided to do this year is for any trip that we took, I decided to do pictures. So little teeny tiny pictures that my daughter not falling, she was like done skiing at the end of the day and she just like laid down on the mountain. I took a picture of that. Just pictures that I took on my phone and then I just print out with my Canon selfie camera. I have the QX20. It looks like this. Just putting it on the camera here, but super easy to use. And I, really enjoy kind of printing out pictures periodically using that. And I pretty much always put them into the 5-year journal. Oh, so there's another page with pictures from when I got to do some beach yoga and slept in. That must have been a pretty good day. Or I guess, no, that's my daughter sleeping in there. So anyway, that is how I use my 5-year journal. It's really just like what happened, highlight reel, random stuff. Occasionally I'll paste something in, but mostly I just put in photo pictures for things that feel a little bit more exciting. All right, so that's book 2 in my planner stack. Now we are going to get to a little bit of logistical planner materials. This is my Ashley Shelly monthly planner, and it's a collaboration that's done with Amanda's Favorites. And I've been purchasing this collaborative product every year since it's been offered. I want to say like 2023 was the first one. It's always super pretty. Like she does such a beautiful job designing her covers. And this one was no exception. I love the sky and the inside cover. They always sell out. So if you're interested in getting one for next year, I'll try to mention it on the podcast, but just make sure you get in on that early. And what I use this for is like mapping out my month. So I have kind of a weird job, right? Like, so I see patients 3 days a week. Sometimes I take a full week of call, and then other times I'm doing things related to the podcast, often on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then sometimes some other one-off things like Best Laid Plans Lives on a Thursday and Friday. And it can be I can very easily get lost in the month and not really understand how much time I have in particular for creative work. And in order to be strategic about the goals that I set for myself from a creative work standpoint, when I say creative work, I mean the blog, the podcast, my courses, all that stuff. I need to really understand how much time I actually have to work. And so I started doing this like mid-year last year, and it's just helped so much. Like, let's go to January. I color code the days so I can see when I have clinic, when I have creative work, like what I might want to get done on those creative work days, when I'm going to be off and the kids are going to be home, so it's going to be hard to get things done, when I'm going to be, traveling. I even put like when my husband's going to be on call so I can kind of understand what types of weekends they are. And then as I'm planning the month, I really pay attention to like how much open time I have before I go ahead and decide what types of monthly goals to set. Because if you can imagine that if you only had, 3 creative days to work, then I probably have no business putting a whole bunch of new projects on there, which was the case, I think, in a month like February. I literally only had 3 creative days to work because I was on call, we were traveling, etc. So, yeah, really seeing that in a visual way helps me to be more mindful when I go ahead and set my creative work goals. And that's pretty much all I use this for. I don't look at it all month long, really. It's more strategizing as I plan out the month. And then I kind of just go forward in my regular planning tools after that. All right, well, we are going to take a quick break. So I will be back in just a minute with the rest of my Techo Kaigi. All right, I am back and we are going through my Techo Kaigi for 2026, meaning what am I using at the middle of the year? Which of my planner tools have held up? Which spreads am I using? What is working for me this year? And I guess I didn't really preface this, but this happens to be a year where I have done almost really no switching. Every single item I'm showing you today are things I started with in January or even before January. That is not normal for me. I feel like that is just, yeah, atypical. But I'm really glad. Maybe this is my permanent planner piece. Maybe I'm just in a really good groove right now. But anyway, that's just to let you know it's not always so consistent throughout the year. And you guys know that about me. All right, so the third thing I am using is my own proprietary, I don't want to say proprietary, but my own custom planning by season journal that I provide, or workbook that I provide for all the planning by season participants. And it's a little sneak peek of kind of what it looks like. But basically, it is a place where I do my seasonal goal setting. I will put ideal week stuff in there. And for me, this is like, I use it for like drafting. You can see I didn't fill every page out, but I use it for drafting. I don't use it for like finalizing things necessarily. That goes into my own systems, as I'll show you in a little bit. But obviously I designed it, so obviously I like it. I included the layouts that I want to think about as I'm planning my season. I really enjoy the color, and when I use it, I just find myself in a nice creative place where I can kind of get my ideas down and then refine them later. So yeah, this has been a really, really fun tool to use. There's even like see if I actually filled it out for the January one. Da-da-da. Oh, yes. An ideal week template to play with that is just really fun to think about every season. So this has been used. Again, I use it to draft my goals, and then they actually get transferred into my kind of master system. So it's not like I'm pulling out this all the time, but I'm certainly pulling it out every single season. I'm obviously motivated to do it because I have a group to do it with, but I do it on my own prior to my meetings with that group because I found that I can't actually plan along with people when I'm leading a planning session. And I'm actually really grateful to have, the group, because it forces me to make sure that I am practicing what I preach and sticking to my own system, which works really well for me. All right. Next we have, okay, we're going to do the best for last. Next we have a Hobonichi Weeks that I have been using for health tracking this year. And honestly, the data in here is a little bit more personal. I can share some of it, but it is health data. So I have never been consistent about using a Hobonichi Weeks. There have been many years where I thought I would use a Hobonichi Weeks, and then I don't know, like it just didn't happen. It was too hectic. It was just like too much, too many books, too many things. And this year, it's just been part of my morning ritual. It's just part of one of the metrics that I look at every single day. And I don't use every page in it because I haven't really used that many of the blank pages in back. But in general, I really do get some nice use out of this book. Things I've used it for: I track my screen time score from Opal on this spread. Helps me to see if I'm going off the rails. Like, look, 3 days in a row that weren't so good. Where was that? End of April. But honestly, May was much better. June's been pretty good. I track my workouts. You guys have seen this spread, but I love to do this kind of color-coded calendar use. Calendars are not just for calendaring. They can be for tracking and recording various things. They're really laid out very nicely for that. And so this year, I decided I would color code strength as red, my walks as orange, and Pilates as blue. And then this would be like an easy way to, note what happened during a given month. And so I really enjoyed doing that. And then in the weekly pages, I'm not going to give you like too many specifics there, but you can see like I'll track nutrition, I'll track steps, I will track sleep, and then on the right, I might put any kind of other health related data like I felt like crap today or I felt really good today or, things about my cycle and things like that. But I've been just filling out this little section every single day. The back I haven't really used, but that's okay. And yeah, I love this little book. It's so cute. It matches with my planner. Like I feel like my system kind of goes together. This one's honestly attracting a lot of dirt. I have found that with these pattern covers from Hobonichi. In fact, the one I had from 2020 was like an ocean scene, and it also got really kind of grimy. I don't find that with some of the cloth and leather covers. That might be a reason that I kind of steer away from this canvas going forward. But I still really, really love the pattern, regardless of the fact that it is kind of showing its age a few months into its use in my bag. But yes, we have gotten to my main planner, which I use faithfully every single day. Maybe not on vacation a little bit, but pretty faithfully the rest of the time. And I'm not going to do a full-on walkthrough. We can save that for another video. But just to show you some of the major spreads I use, it's nice to be able to keep some stuff in there. This is just health data for the family, so I'm going to like stay off of that. But I use this one to kind of globally track what's going on with different people. I will use, well, these are just more like for call schedules. And yeah, I have no problem showing you guys old months that haven't happened yet. That doesn't have any stalking possibilities for you to see my past. But yeah, I just kind of like big picture planning. This is not my source of truth. This is just like big stuff. And then we get to my major source of truth, and we'll just pick a random week in here. This was May 11th. You can see these boxes are where I have clinic. I don't even need to be specific about that because I use Epic while I'm there. And then everything else we have going on, I have the kids stuff down below. I have what's for dinner there. I have my workouts here. I have, other special events. I will have random, this was not a lot of check boxes this week. I think it was like May-cember big time. And it was just like, get stuff done. And I have a couple of tasks assigned to, specific days. This is like pretty, yeah. I'm like, ooh, is that someone's address? No, it's okay. It's the address of a school where we had our piano recital. I'm okay with people saying that. Anyway, yeah, I guess I should have pre-vetted a specific page, but I don't see anything terrible on this page. So yeah, this is how I set up my weekly spread. Again, I can do a little bit more detail in a future episode if someone would like. And then finally, my daily pages look kind of like this. I do track nutrition type stuff. Oh my gosh, I was actually trying to track macros on it. I gave up on that. I'll kind of write out my schedule in the morning here. This is my daily habits. Put my to-do list here. I put anything I kind of listen to over here. And I put my workouts there and I check it off. And this is a page that I will, work from throughout the day. Do I always get everything done? On this day, I got most things done except for email cleanup and library holds. Email cleanup, that one does get deferred every once in a while. It's kind of a big job. But yeah, this is the meat of my daily planning. Oh, those numbers are my screen time metrics. I like to, see exactly how many minutes I was on my phone. This was not a good day, you guys. I should have showed a day that had like 50 minutes. I had 167 minutes that day. Not the best day. This was actually my birthday. So that's kind of fun. We can forgive me for all those screen time minutes on my birthday. It was probably birthday texts from wonderful friends and stuff like that. Anyway, so there you have it. That is my planner stack. And then actually there you do not have it. So fun fact, I actually keep two books in here. I have my Hobonichi Cousin, and then I also have a Day-Free, which is like a blank notebook with monthly spreads in the front. And that, guys, is where I keep copies of all my annual goals and this is like my habit tracking sheet and track what I read. I've talked about doing that. I did kind of get lazy about cutting the little pictures of the books out, but it does look really, really cute when I was doing it. And I love keeping tabs on my reading in this way. And again, I also kind of track things like seasonal goals in here, things like, again, I can do a more detailed walkthrough in another video, but lists of music and restaurants we've gone to and things like that. This is a list that I made of fun things. Actually, I think I'm going to need more room on my fun things list, which is fantastic news, you guys. I just wanted to put any kind of long form performance that I went to, including a concert or a movie. And look, we're getting there. We're more than half full, and we're only, you know, I don't know, we're not halfway through the year yet. So we're in good shape on this fun list. I listened to the top albums of the year and checked them off here. Any kind of like one-off list I put in this kind of accessory notebook. It's a day-free. It does have, I think, more pages than I'm going to end up using, but that's okay. This will become drawing paper, scrap paper for my kids at the end of the year, and the pages will get used in some way, shape, or form. So there you have it. That right here can stack it up in a kind of stacked format. I really hope this video actually worked. I'll be sad if it didn't. That is my Techo Kaigi. That's pretty much everything I'm using. Oh, this is the July volume of the Hobonichi that I'll be, jumping into in a month or so. But it's not July yet. I do put events in I use it as my source of truth. So when something comes up, I do write it in here, but I don't carry it around. And the way I get around that is if I have a date I need to calendar, and I'm not at home and I don't have access to this, I will make it a checkbox in my planner and then check it off once I've put it in here. So I will admit, having that cut point in the middle of the year is kind of annoying, especially during maybe the months of May and June, but you're going to have it anyway in January. So December, January, and it makes for a lighter planner. So it works for me. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you want a slower walk through any of these systems, let me know. Now that I know how to do it, perhaps I could do a digital resources walkthrough and show you my Apple Notes and things like that in a future episode. But I hope this was helpful, and I'm so glad I finally figured out how to record from above. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful week.